Hello and welcome. You have tuned into Market Fatafat on ET Now. I'm Shrishti Sharma and with me is Vinny Motiwala. And viewers, over the next 1 hour, we're going to be highlighting all the stocks that are buzzing in trade, either on the back of the news flow or on the back of the technicals. And do get ready for that, Vinny. But before that, let's have a look at what the markets are up to. They are in a bit of a consolidation mood as of now.
Absolutely. Seems like a bit of a consolidation mode today. Also, we did go above that 21,000 mark on the Nifty as well. But as of now, when you're looking at the markets, the Nifty is off the day's highest point, actually trading at the day's lowest point as of now as well. Especially in the last 1 hour is when we saw the sharper fall coming in for the markets as well. So yes, Nifty 20,971. What the level is currently at. Sensex 2 below the 70,000 mark in terms for the Sensex as well. Let's also look at what the Nifty and Nifty Bank actually is doing now. Nifty Bank is down 0.2%, more than 0.2% in trade as well. Nifty Bank is also trading almost at the day's lowest point. Other than that, advance decline ratio clearly in the favor of decline as of now than the advances. So yes, keeping an eye out on the breadth of the market as well. And broader markets seems like the mid-cap space, yes, a bit of an subdued trade coming in for the Nifty mid-cap, while for the Nifty small-cap as well, managing to hold on to gains as of now. That's the outperformer. So standing in trade today is the small-cap side, which is holding on to 0.4% in trade as well. So yes, interesting is that the broader markets are performing better again than the benchmark indices as of now. When you look at it sector-wise, Nifty Media among the top sectoral gainers. Other than that, we have metals as well as PSU banks. That's holding on to strong gains as well. Top sectoral losers, when you look at it, we have the Nifty Realty, Energy as well as others among the top sectoral losers as well. So nothing exciting happening on that front as well. Markets a bit subdued, dull day, dull second half of the day is what's shaping up, but we'll keep an eye out on how the next couple of hours of trade also goes on. But on that note, let's get started with those individual movers in trades which are buzzing either on the back of news flows or technicals. And on the technicals, right now we're joined by Kunal Bothra, while from the research team we do have Ashesha as well as Ankita joining in with us. A very good afternoon to all three of y'all as well. And Shrishti, looking at all of them who are going to talk to us about the different stocks other than us, they're all wearing red. Maybe they are the reason that we're seeing that shade of red coming in on the markets as well. But let's get started with the first stock that is in focus, and we're going to talk about Thermax today. They've secured an order exceeding around 500 crores. When you look at it, for setting up 5 bio-CNG plants across India, utilizing local feedstock and commercial as well as captive use as well. Other than that, the initiative is actually aligning with the company's broad efforts that they've been making to introduce solutions in the biochemical and bioenergy space as well. Look at Thermax today trading to with gains of almost 1.8% at the day's highest point as well. And Thermax also actually plans to deploy 1 gigawatt of hybrid renewable energy solutions, and this is going to be by FY27, and is venturing into gasification plant with carbon capture capabilities to process 100 to 500 TPD coal as well. So yes, on the back of this order that they've received of around 500 crores today, Thermax is surely buzzing away in trade, holding on to strong gains as of now. That's Thermax for y'all.
Okay, we're moving on. Let's shift focus to the IT space. Infosys is the counter that we have picked up to highlight after a surprise exit of the CFO, where the company CFO has gone ahead and put down his papers, but he will continue. Mr. Niranjan Roy will continue to be the CFO of the company till 31st of March 2024. Along with that, the company also announced that they have appointed Mr. Jay as the CFO of the company, and on that front, Morgan Stanley has actually come out with a note where they continue to maintain the overweight stance with a target price of 1600. But what they're highlighting is that the resignation of the CFO was unanticipated, and this could weigh on the sentiment in the light of the past senior exit that we have seen happening in Infosys. And along with that, they expect the transition to be smooth. But the company appointed Mr. Jayesh Sangrajka, currently who is the Executive VP and Deputy CFO, as CFO of the company with effect from 1st April 2024. So it was a bit of a surprise coming in for the market participants, and that's why we are seeing the stock having a cuts of around 1%.
Surely keeping an eye out on Infosys today as well, as of now also trading at the day's lowest point with the markets being subdued as well. Let's talk about IRCTC and Kunal. On the charts now, how is IRCTC looking like? What are we expecting? We had seen all those railway stocks actually see a very good run up. Now IRCTC, when you compare to them, last 6 months, surely seen 20% returns. But going forward, what is the expectation for IRCTC?
Yeah, so good afternoon, and I think out of that 20% up move for IRCTC, a chunk of up move has actually happened for the stock in this month itself, where the stock has moved up some 10%, 11% from its previous month closing. It's done pretty well because from 700 levels, the stock is almost at the 775, 780 mark, and this looks like a strong candidate of a breakout over the near term. Now, as you rightly pointed out, that many of the railway stocks are coming back into a breakout. So many of the stocks from the railway pack, they were going through a 2 month, 3 month time-wise consolidation. But it seems like that many of these stocks have now started to see some signs of volumes coming back into the entire pocket. So that means the likelihood of IRCTC continuing the uptrend which it started off in the last couple of months and especially this month is pretty much high. Would be bullish on the stock and expecting a near-term upside or a target for the stock closer to 800, 810 odd levels.
Okay, moving on then, and Ashesha, coming to you. The first stock that you have picked up is Sterling and Wilson, has been in the news. Tell us what's the news flow and why is this counter in focus today?
Well, yes, this counter is in focus for the second consecutive session. Yesterday, in fact, the stock was locked in upper circuit. Today, of course, it's a little subdued in trade, 1.8% lower, and this is on the back of their fundraising plans. So yesterday, the company informed the exchanges that their QIP has now opened. Floor price has been fixed at 365 rupees per share, which when we compare it to yesterday's closing price, it has a discount of about 14%. Yesterday, the stock was locked in upper circuit, and that was because the company said that all of the lenders of the company have approved resolution plan that was proposed by the company. So yes, the stock is in focus for the second consecutive session today. Of course, on the back of their fundraising plans, the stock is declining 1.8% lower in trade as we speak.
Okay, let's move on and talk about the next stock on the technicals. And Kunal, Clean Sciences is a stock that you've picked out for us. When you look at it, I beg your pardon, when you look at it in the last couple of years, the stock has seen a correction coming in. But now it seems like an up move is in the works for the company. What is the view for Clean Sciences now?
Well, yeah, I think the stock has corrected quite a lot. I think from 2,600, 2,700 mark. I think last year or so, the stock had fallen down to as much as 1260, 1300 levels. Now it seems like that the stock is trying to form a bottom. So interestingly, the last 3 or 4 quarters, which means over the last 8 to 9 months, broadly the stock has been more sideways. It's trying to, or rather, the demand zone or the support zone for the stock is at 1300 mark. So whenever the stock retests the 1300 levels, there is not incremental selling into the stock price. In fact, there is buying which emerges at the stock at those levels. And now it looks like that the indicators are on the verge of a turnaround for Clean Life. So which means that this could be an interesting name over the short to medium term. And given the way the markets are positioned, I think many of the underperforming stocks are also getting a streak of trying to get back into the line of covering up the underperformance. I believe Clean Science could probably be in that phase where it can move up significantly higher from current levels.
Okay, moving on, and let's shift focus to IREDA, that is IREDA. And Ankita, since the listing, there's been no stopping for this particular counter. We did speak with the management today. Which were some of the key takeaways?
That's correct. This stock, there is absolutely no stopping for it. In fact, it has zoomed 210% over its issue price of 32 rupees. It has hit its all-time high. Now, this move has come on the back of the state-owned firm floating a retail division for providing loans under the PM Kusum scheme, rooftop solar and other businesses to consumer sector. The stock, after opening, IREDA's retail division quickly sanctioned its first loan amounting to rupees 58 crores under the Kusum B scheme. And interestingly, IREDA has become the first public company to hit that market capital in over a year after Life Insurance Corporation of India's debut in May 2022. And on the back of that, just look at the stock, it's firing on all cylinders, up almost 18% in trade.
Surely, flying high, trading higher, much higher in trade as well. Today also said holding on to gains of almost 17%. But today we did manage to actually speak to the management of the company in terms of the asset quality. Where do they see in terms of the movement coming in for the company? What are the growth levers for the company? Let's go across and listen to the management.
We'll have the risk mitigation plan in place, and we'll do deep down study, and we'll work out the economics also. Since we are a listed company, we have to ensure our investors' wealth is also intact, and further sustainable growth is there. We want to now put in a focus and more professional approach, giving a focused and dedicated effort. So we will not be compromising with our asset quality for sure, because that is our strength. The kind of corporate governance what we do and give and already given in last 3.5 years, that has already put a stamp in the corporate governance for any kind of CPSE in the country as of now. We'll continue to sustain that kind of corporate governance, asset quality, and discipline within the organization. If you see, look at our book of September, 77% is private sector book. Despite that, we are having a 1.65 net NPA. And our cumulative write-off in last 36 years, just 203 crore against a total finance of 1,07,000 crore of, if you take September data. So we continue to maintain that asset quality.
Okay, that was the management of IREDA for you all. Let's move on, talk about the next stock that is in focus today, and we have Hindalco that actually managed to touch a 52-week high intraday as well. It saw gains of as much as 3% intraday, as of now holding on to gains of 2.2% as well. And this came in after the company has planned to set up a battery foil manufacturing facility, and this is going to be in Odisha. The company will deploy an investment of around up to 800 crores for this new battery foil plant, which will be commissioned by July 2025 as well. The plant will initially produce around 25,000 tons of a resilient product which forms the backbone of lithium ion as well as sodium ion cells as well. And the factory is located alongside with 25 megawatt of solar power plant and can assess the additional solar energy from around a 400 kV national grid connection as well. In the process, the project will also provide the thrust for the government green initiative to reduce carbon emission and to build a sustainable growth going forward as well. So on the back of this, we're seeing that Hindalco today managed to touch 52-week high as well, as of now also holding on to good gains of 2%.
Okay, but let's take a technical check on Hindalco then. And Kunal, like when he was highlighting new 52-week high for this one, which are the next target where one should look at?
Yeah, new 52-week high. The stock has broken past about the previous hurdles of 505, 510, and the previous or the more immediate resistance, which was closer to 530 odd for Hindalco. So this seems to be a strong breakout. Now, interestingly, it's many of the mid-cap metal stocks, or rather tier 2 metal names, which are actually looking quite charged up. JSP is also looking attractive, so which means that this seems to be a strong sector move in the making. From current levels, I would believe Hindalco can rally up to almost 565, 570, which means short-term traders could look at a near-term target of 5 to 6% on the stock further from current levels.
Okay, moving on then, let's shift focus to Wipro then, wherein Motilal Oswal has come out with their note and they maintain their neutral rating with a target price of 460 rupees. What they are saying is that the consulting exposure and the muted expectation of a potential recovery play for this particular company. And after the new management change, there has been an improvement in the large deal wins and the quarterly deal TCV. That indicates that these strategies are proving to be effective despite the global headwinds that the company has been facing. But given their exposure to be very high in the consulting division, which contributes around 15% of their revenue, then Wipro should be among the early names to benefit from the demand revival, and this can act as an upside surprise for the stock with low expectations and large valuation gaps with the peers. And that's why Wipro is in focus and amongst the IT space is seen to be buzzing and holding a gains of around 1%.
Okay, moving on from a gainer to a loser actually, and Oberoi Realty, that one has been in pressure on the last couple of trading sessions as well. And Ashesha, today too, it's holding on the negative side as well. What is the reason for this one?
Well, yes, in focus for the second consecutive session, Morgan Stanley in fact came out with a note on the entire real estate sector yesterday, where they said that industry upcycle has started since 2021 in terms of ASP growth, and this could continue on the back of strong macroeconomic fundamentals and favorable industry structure. They say that market values the companies on PE basis in an upcycle and price to book value basis in a down cycle rather than its NAV. So on the basis of this valuation metric, they've come out with some of the ratings in the real estate space, where they say that they are rating DLF and Prestige as overweight, Macrotech and Godrej as equal weight, and Oberoi Realty as underweight. So on account of this underweight rating that has come in from Morgan Stanley, the stock is in focus for the second consecutive session. Today, of course, it is declining nearly 1% as we speak.
Okay, moving on then, let's shift focus to Marico then. And Kunal, the FMCG space has been showing some resilience. What exactly are you spotting on Marico then?
So there is a daily chart breakout for Marico where the stock has broken past above the 50-day moving average yesterday. And this also completes two other breakouts for the stock price. One is on the front of indicators, where the indicators after being into a negative or a bearish territory for the last 2 months or so, 1.5 months to be precise, have now come back or resurfaced into a bullish territory, as well as the breakout which I said about the 50-day moving average. So both of the indicators suggest that the stock may see a near-term up move from current levels of 540 approximately where the stock is trading. So short-term traders could look at a near-term upside of 4 to 5% swing for Marico, which means closer to 560 approximately could be a near-term target for the stock.
Okay, keep an eye out on those levels for Marico today. Let's move on and then talk about Spandana Sphoorty. And Ankita, why is this one in focus today? What's the news flow that you have here?
That's correct, Winnie. Spandana Sphoorty is focus today, and it is coming on the back of the fact that the company is planning to raise asset under management or AUM to 28,000 crore rupees by financial year 2028. Now the expansion will be led by loan against property and nano enterprise portfolios. Now the company is aiming for 75 times growth in the AUM of two of its arms, from 46 crore rupees in September quarter to as much as 3,500 crores by FY28 with up to 3 lakh borrowers. Now, Spandana is also planning to increase the share of shorter tenure loans in its distribution network. It is also planning to raise the share of the 12-month loans to 10 to 15% by FY28 from 3% in the September quarter, and the 18-month loans to as much as 25% from 8%. And on the back of that, we are seeing the trade up almost 2% in trade.
Okay, let's move on and talk about BLS International. This one too is buzzing away in trade. Actually, intraday it saw as much of a jump of 7% on the stock as well. This one too hit a 52-week high, and this was following the announcement that was made by the company that they've secured a contract with the Indian High Commission in Canada. And on the back of this, we've seen that BLS International has been gaining away in trade, holding on to those good gains after Indian High Commission of Canada has given a contract to BLS International. So yes, good win coming in terms of securing a contract, and BLS International strong gains over there for the company.
Okay, moving on, let's put the spotlight on DLF then, one of the great movers for this particular year actually, and Morgan Stanley has come out with a note where they have maintained their overweight rating on this particular counter and have a target price of 770 rupees. But what they have additionally done is that they have added DLF to their GEMS focus list. They do say that it's a proxy for India's developers and it trades at a premium to the peers, but the kind of a domination that it has in the NCR market, that sets the price and has the largest developable land bank, which is rich valued. The company is a zero net debt and excluding the rental business better than the peers, and that's why they have added DLF in their GEMS focus list, and that's why this particular counter is in focus today.
Okay, absolutely keeping an eye on DLF. But let's move on, talk about TCS then. And Kunal, TCS on the charts now. What's the story actually going to be shaping up for TCS? Last 6 months, actually, last just 1 month, we've seen a sharper uptick coming in as well. So what's the view for TCS?
So I have been bullish on the stock in the last 1.5 odd month. In fact, we started to be a lot more bullish on large cap IT names as compared to mid cap IT from closer to 3,400 approximately for TCS, and from those levels the stock has moved up almost 8% to 10% on an average. Now interestingly, TCS has come back towards a major breakout now on the weekly as well as on the monthly chart. So I think 3,700 approximately was the previous swing high for TCS in the month of September, October, and the stock is now coming back into a breakout mode. So it looks attractive, and the theme for large cap IT stocks to try and move up higher, I think looks like a more formidable theme and should be looked at from a trading position. So I think traders who have a time frame of 1 to 3 months or more, I think could look at buying TCS, Infosys, even Wipro at current levels.
Okay, we're moving on and onto the sidelines of Deloitte Arohan event. Arunadhi Bhattacharya, chairperson and CEO of Salesforce, speaks to ET Now about the factors aiding the growth in the IT space and briefly discusses the plan of the company too. Let's go across and listen in.
IT enables you to make houses out of bricks, okay? Because it provides you the ability to connect And therefore, it's very empowering. It's very empowering because things that you could not possibly deliver in the brick and mortar physical way, it can be delivered through IT. And therefore, we see the increasing use of it in every single walk of our lives. I personally believe that there cannot be any enterprise, whether it be business, whether it be government, whether it be the social sector, if it is not having a very strong IT backbone, it will not be sustainable, it will not scale.
And about this event today with Deloitte and Arohan, you think it's a step in the right direction?
Absolutely, it's a step in the right direction because believe me, growth, if we really want to see exponential growth, it cannot be brought about only by the government. It cannot be top down. At the end of the day, you need the participation of all stakeholders, whether it be the grassroots people, whether it be the consumers, whether it be the businesses that serve them, whether it be the government that governs them. All stakeholders need to have their stake and need to be participants in the growth story. That is when exponential growth occurs. So to that extent, bringing together people in the kind of forum that Deloitte has done here, I think is wonderful because it enables people to connect, enables people to share ideas, enables people to form the connects that will ultimately result in collaboration.
And I'm talking about your plans. Well, what are the plans for, because it happens to be the end of calendar year, but new financial year will also begin, a new calendar year will also begin. What are your plans there?
So there, one of the plans that we have is to set up a public sector unit. We were not servicing the public sector earlier on account of very many other issues. There are compliance issues, there are regulatory requirements, so we needed to be able to tick all the boxes. I think we've been ready for about a year now to tick all the boxes. So we will be definitely looking at serving the public sector more. Not only that, if you look at the way the world is evolving with generative AI tools that are coming in this year, we expect to come to market with a number of these tools, well protected through our trust layer to ensure that the risks are also mitigated while we using these tools. But all of these should actually see the usage of IT and the usage of really empowering tools to go up exponentially in the market.
Okay, and on the sidelines of the same event as well, we actually managed to speak to NSN Murthy, partner and leader at Government and Public Service Deloitte India, who speaks to ET Now about the PPP corporation help in COVID cases, and the company is engaged in solutions through citizen-centric approach as well. Listen in to what they have to say.
I think we are focused on where we can actually help the government create a meaningful impact to the end delivery or outcomes or stakeholders. Let's define whether it is a business or a citizens. So do I create an impact for them? Can I create more assets or solutions or services or processes, improve them, digitize them to actually give better services so that the government can give a better services? Because of which we are very focused on ministries like rural development, Panchayati Raj, Ministry of IT is definitely one of them, education, healthcare, and all these places.
And they're talking about, again, making lives easier for citizens through this collaboration with the government. How is that going to happen?
So I think it's been about 6 or 8 years since I think every single discussion that the government is taking is not from the perspective of how do I simplify a process, but is the process simplified enough for the citizens and the businesses or not? I think in our management consulting language, we call it a human-centric approach, right? It's a citizen-centric approach which is happening. So yes, anything which actually improves the service delivery quality, it actually ensures that I get my things without asking for it or at the place of my choice. These are all what government is focused on. And I think we're all working together to make those wish lists or the goals possible.
Okay, and about the projects of different state governments to take them from here to some economy like UP you are working with, to expect more and more states to targeting like this?
Oh, of course. So let me. Every state is now competing with the other state for investments, right? So that's something which is for the last several years. Now every state is trying to actually take a step back and say, investment is one part of it, but how do I grow my economy? how do I get the employment done? How do I actually make it much more sustainable? Because getting an investment or running after the investment is not the viable measure, because we have seen that going for almost like 2 decades, but that's not the only viable one. Yes, that's very much required, but it's required that I identify where should I actually build my core capabilities, where should I actually get the expert, how do I actually nurture my talent. So I think every state is doing that, whether it is UP, whether it is Gujarat, whether it is Tamil Nadu or Odisha or Maharashtra, everyone is not doing, but everyone is doing differently. And I think UP is creating a kind of a path or a lighthouse, I can say, for other states to take a step back and think and redo their entire economic development methodology or strategy.
Okay, but with this, it's time to slip into a very short break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back in order to continue all the stocks that are buzzing in Market Fatafat edition.